to do, he went outside and he got me a bunch of snacks.
That's so sweet.
It was adorable. And he's this old man. But yeah, so
So
I
packing your
guess
lunch for school or for like the field trip.
Yeah. Oh, my mom does that when I'm in calls. When she hears me speak English, she's like, "Okay, she's on a call." So like, she would just come here, and I'm like, "Mom, don't appear in the picture." She's like, "It's everything okay? Do you need anything?" Like,
Oh
God,
God,
this
this
is
is
so
so
My
sweet.
my mom
I
packs
actually
me
live
this
with
small lunch for for my
lunch.
office, and she's like, just take it with you. So I have a lunchbox in my bag when I go to the office.
That is so cute.
Oh,
We have
So
to be more
sweet.
caring. Definitely. So I
Next
guess
panel, it's
we
all
can
about
start.
that.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah, we can start now and then. Oh wait, I guess someone just joined us. Tarja is here. Yay!
Yes.
Okay, I'm inviting you, Tarja. So come join us.
And the other
But
person
yeah,
asked for the invite link. It just came by
all
email.
right.
So then you probably have everyone.
Oh, who is asking? Sorry, one second.
Cholvi? I'm not sure about the name
Oh,
Cholvi.
okay. Awesome. So we are live now, but
Yes.
meanwhile, I'm gonna.
Welcome,
I
you
want to
two.
start with an introduction. Wait, let me just put Tarja on the call. We are all being patient today because I'm using a new software tool, so we need to be a bit patient. But yeah, meantime, please let's start with our introduction, guys. So wait, did someone just left? Oh no, update stage. Awesome. Hello, Tarja. Welcome.
Oh, I made it. I'm sorry I'm a bit late, but I was trying to use this from Opera, and I guess that was the problem. Sorry,
Awesome.
but I'm in.
No problem. Welcome.
Tarja, I love your poster. I love the
Ah,
poster.
So good.
Nice.
So it's
Oh,
Meet is
wow.
women's.
possible.
Oh, and Back to the Future.
Oh wow, that's
That's so
really
good.
cool.
Nice.
Awesome. So this month is Women's International Month, right? For those who doesn't know, we are all here to talk about women empowerment, and this industry sometimes can be very male dominant. I don't know if you guys can relate, but all my coworkers are guys too, so sometimes it can be a bit struggle, right? So that's why we're here. I wanted to invite all of you because I've been following your work, and I'm really inspired by your journey. So we can start today's stream with introduction, and it's not going to be hands-on. You guys can just say whatever. It's a very casual podcast. So yeah, I want to hear about your journey. Tell me about yourself, and yeah, we can start. Tarja, do you want to start since you came the
yeah, I
last?
feel like and nobody dares
Yeah,
to start
we're
first.
all
Yeah,
being
I
kind
guess.
to each other in the awkward silence moment.
That's how it's supposed to be. We're supposed to be kind to each other.
Yeah. But so yes, I'm Tarja Porkka-Kontturi, and I live in northern Finland. We actually had. Okay, I have to complain just a tiny bit because it's spring. It like it's supposed to be spring, right? Like in this part of the earth, and we had minus 27 Celsius
Oh my
Oh my
god.
God.
this morning, and
Wow.
I'm kind of annoyed at the moment. So, yeah, but that's
Wow.
it. So, I work as a director of communications, or in fact, my title, I'm not quite sure, is it public yet? But I guess I can say it still. But title got updated as director of community engagement and communications. So to better like be aligned with what I actually do at the Global Game Jam. And then I do games PR and marketing, mostly leading PR teams at games branding. First started with Nordic PR, but then went on to global campaigns. And what else? I have my own consultancy business related to accessibility, representation, and inclusion in the games and games industry. And about the work I do there, I can't yet speak of, but hopefully at least
Yeah,
next year.
that's
But there's
amazing that
some
you're
cool
here.
stuff coming. Yeah.
We actually had an interview, Tarja and I, last year or 2 years ago. Wow, it's been a long time, so I'm really
Yeah.
excited.
What is time? I don't know even. Yeah.
All right, Bazia, you want to go next? Bazia. Hmm. Sorry, we cannot hear you
Oh, you're
properly.
muted.
I also don't know if I said your name correctly. Again, I'm sorry for the pronunciation. Oh, yeah, don't not here. Well, meantime, do you want to go, Malfada? Like, Malfada, you want
Yeah,
to
I
go? Yeah,
yeah, I
go
can.
ahead.
Um, so my name is Mafalda. I am from Lisbon, Portugal. In the recent times, I was still studio director and producer for Nerd Monkeys, and recently I changed and joined Telescope Games in the same role. A new studio that we're just building up from the ground up, which is very exciting, scary at the same time, as everyone that had that experience in indies. So it's very it's that time when we're building the we're building the culture, we're picking the people, we're deciding on the project and what we're going to do now. So yeah, that's the exact point in my life that you guys got me in. I'm one of the co-founders for Game Dev Lisbon. It's our community here for more
Amazing.
directed for the industry. We've been having like big communities being built around, but normally try to be very inclusive to students, to everyone that just has passion for games. But we decided to kind of switch a little bit because like there was like this moment when there's a lot of like digital nomads. Lisbon is now all the rage, everyone joining in. So we wanted a space where we're speaking in English. We are being mindful for like trying to get those people that are in those studios that have no idea how to reach out and how to connect, and hopefully be a way to be a little bit more engaging with future, publishers, investors, all people to grow this, because I know being in Europe sometimes people might forget that yes, we're still a emergent market in what it means to games. We don't have that many studios, or still very like indie, two, three people,
Yeah.
and building things up. And yeah, that's where we are right now. And also, I work with Women in Games as the ambassador coordinator. There's a lot of lovely Women in Games ambassadors here, so I'm the one that keeps sending you all the emails, the information, and I love to do that. I love to be a facilitator for others. It comes very naturally to me to be talkative and everywhere and be
Yeah.
available. And so I
Thank
like
you.
to do that for others too. And yeah,
That's
that's a little bit about me.
amazing. This is the first time that I see someone from Portugal, like a woman from Portugal in the gaming industry. So I love the diversity here. So,
Thank you.
would you like to go first? Second, Warda. Third.
Okay. Um, so my name is Varda. I started working in the gaming industry back in 2019, and I have been working ever since. Currently, I'm working as a producer at Big Immersive, and we're working on a gamified ecosystem within the metaverse. Apart from that, I'm also a Women in Games ambassador, um, and that's about it. Clarissa, I can't
Ah,
hear
Clarissa, now
you.
we can hear
Yeah.
you.
Just for record, guys, I think
Totally
what
my
happened,
bad. I am
just
muted
so
because
you
I
know,
didn't.
I think it's
I
just
think I
like the
stole
green
your
room.
voice.
All
Yeah,
right.
they like
So
automatically
we
blocks
got a
you.
new participant
Mhm.
today. Thank you for joining us.
Hello.
Do you want to introduce yourself? Sorry. Is it Chloe? I don't know how to
Yeah.
pronounce the name. Sorry.
Well, it's Cholwe.
Chloe.
Cholwe.
Chloe. Chloe.
Chole.
Welcome.
Yes.
Please introduce
Hi.
yourself too.
Hi everyone.
Hey.
Hi,
Yeah,
Chloe.
Hi.
so my name is Cholwe. So I represent a company called Team Gematrix. So the first esports organization in my country, Zambia. Zambia is somewhere in Southern Africa. So basically pioneer of esports here. The only female entrepreneur who's really trying to pursue the challenge of esports. So pretty excited to kick ass. Am I supposed to say that?
Kick
but
hand.
but yeah, so far so
Kick butt.
good. My
Hi,
dog is
dog.
barking in the background. Don't worry about that. But yeah, so dog
That's
mom things.
amazing.
But yeah, I'm really excited to
I
join
can relate.
this great panel of women doing great things in the industry. So I'm pretty excited to hear all of your stories and really see how best I can align with what you're doing as well.
Thank you, thank you. Fasia, you
Thank
want to
you.
go out now? Okay.
Yes,
You're
can you
not
hear
muted,
me? All right, yes.
and I'm not
My
muted.
camera just decided to just die and it took its microphone with it. So now I know that it's the camera mic that I've been using. But hi, I'm Vasya Tolu. I'm originally from Greece. Now I live in sort of a middle of Finland in Tampere. And I actually moved here from Greece with my mother to study game design or game development because I wanted to be in games. So I did my bachelor's degree in interactive media, and at some point I realized that I'm not that good at sort of art or coding or
Yeah,
anything. So I was like,
yeah,
this community thing, it feels really nice. So
yeah.
I basically just started freelancing, trying to become a community manager. I did some. I was a South Korean series and film critic for a while as a freelancer. I also had some health issues, back problems that I couldn't get through. And then in March 2020, basically my back broke. And I spent 2 years gaining my ability to walk again.
Wow.
And then I started going to conferences. And thank you very much, Women in Games. It was actually one of the first ones I went to was an expo that empowered me a lot and showed me that I basically can and should be able to find a job in this industry and keep trying. And then I attended the Nordic Games or Nordic Talent Fair or something. It was called back then in October 21 online. And a few months later, I was actually contacted by the fair, and they were like, "Would you like to become an intern with us for our digital marketing specialist?" And I was like, "Yes." So here I am.
Oh
I
my God,
actually attended the conference as a participant first, and then I was hired by the
that's
company. So
amazing. Thank you so
yeah,
much for sharing your experience
thank you,
with us.
thank you for
That's
having me
really,
here.
really inspiring. That tells us that you can do anything. You can start a career and then you can shift, and you don't need to, lose everything that you learn from it. So yeah,
Exactly.
that's amazing. Um, wait, sorry. Would you like to go next, Hedrick? Hendrik? Sorry, I don't know how to
Henrike.
pronounce the name. Can you
That's
correct
fine. No one knows.
me? Yeah.
No one knows that. Oh, that's fine. Cool. Yeah, my name is Henrike, but you can
Okay.
call me Henny if you like. So it's much easier, right?
All right.
And so I'm one of the co-founders, or one of the founders actually, of Hyperate, and we basically help streamers put their live heart rate on stream. And what I really like about this is that I imagine how, like when I was talking to indie developers and so on, the ideas that come from that, right? So what can you do in games actually? How can you hype everything up or use actually biometric data in games? That's something that I'm super excited about actually. I actually streamed a few years ago. I killed the account. Oh, it's my kid. Hi. Hello. I'm a
Hello.
mother of two actually. So the
Hi,
big one is
baby.
18. Hello. Hello.
Yes, mother and
Oh,
woman in
Yeah.
the industry. I
extra
love
guest.
it.
extra guest here. Yeah, I actually streamed a few years ago. Back then, it was kind of game content and so on. But I love everything it has to do with content creation, streaming. I'm super hyped for like really good stream. I love to watch that, and yeah, so that's basically what I do.
Yeah. Thank you, girl, so much for sharing your journey with me. And I will talk a little bit about me. I am the marketing manager for Hyperpad. For those who doesn't know, Hyperpad is a gaming development company. It's essentially an app that makes other apps without the need of coding. So I'm really excited, to be with you because I want to see more data. I want to see more users using Hyperpad. Most of our audience, 70% male. So that's why you're here today to inspire all of them. So Yeah, so I wanted to ask you girls, so what are some challenges that you face as a woman in the gaming industry, and how did you overcome that? So I'm not gonna say any names, so you guys can just go whoever feels like prepared to share, and don't feel like you have to share if you don't want to talk about something that is
I
uncomfortable
could
to you. So
probably start because I think I would have the least. I mean, I just this is my first job ever as an employee on contract. Before that, it was just a bit of freelancing. So it hasn't been from the industry itself. Obviously, I've been following the industry. I've been a gamer since since the days of the Commodore Amiga. So I have been following the industry for a long time. I see the problems in it. I hear about the problems in it. I talk about the problems in it. But for me, it was more kind of as an immigrant, I guess it would be the push, the pressure you get from the unemployment agencies to sort of specific jobs that are very gendered. So I was encouraged to maybe think about becoming a nurse or a sort of a private nurse and assistant for for home care person, or other such jobs that are very gendered. And then of course men would get other kinds of suggestions. I was never, for example, given the suggestion to maybe go into coding, which you would think would be something that my studies would justify. So in that sense, just very subtle sort of trying to basically guide me to directions that I didn't want to go, as the immigrant woman. And I know that I'm going to face, whether it is in an adjacent industry to gaming where I am now, or in the future if I make it into the actual sort of gaming industry. I know I'm going to face a lot of them, but I think being open, the fact that women and other gender minorities in the industry are so open about talking about these issues and exposing them and actually trying to find solutions for them, makes me feel like I'm ready to face them as well. So that's very
that's
important for me.
amazing. Thank you, Carrie. I think we talked a bit on the stream, and I can totally relate to the struggles of being an immigrant. I'm from Brazil, and growing up in South America, the only career that you can do to be successful is being a doctor or an engineering, right? So these unconventional
I
jobs,
can,
we
yeah, I can
never
relate to that.
experienced. Sorry, can you
Um,
hear me?
Sorry, Wanda? Yes, yes, we can.
yes, yes,
Okay.
am I audible?
Oh, your audio is
Yeah,
breaking
your
up
audio.
a bit. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
hope this
Okay, now
is
it's
Now
better.
better
you're
now.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep. You're
Okay,
good now.
okay. So, growing up in Pakistan, I did not travel outside of Pakistan. So, I completed my education here. And one of the things that I had to constantly face was that there was this constant need to prove yourself that you know the thing that you're doing. So, for example, if I was talking about a game that I'm playing or if a game that I'm a huge fan of, the question would be, all right, so what happened on level 17? And it was this these sort of questions that you had to prove that you're not just posing to like
The
something,
fake
you
gamer
actually.
girl.
Yes, yes. And
The
another
fake
thing was that there was no sense of direction. So I've been working as a freelance game designer, but when I studied as a software engineer, I graduated as a software engineer, but there was no sense of direction that if I wanted to pursue game design as a career, what are the things that I need to do? How would I get into game design? And there
Yeah.
were a lot of people who would discourage that. So if I was talking to somebody, if I was telling them that, oh, I work in the gaming industry, I want to go into the gaming industry, they would have that
Oh,
frown on the
your audio is
I'm
breaking
not
up a
working
bit
in.
again, Arda.
Is it audible now?
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
now
so
I
from
think you're
what I
good.
understood,
Yes.
is that you said that there's no structure behind,
Yeah.
following a career in gaming industry, which I can see. I can totally see. I was just talking to my mom about it. Like, yeah, there is a structure about being a lawyer, being a doctor, but if you want to follow
Yes.
like a career in the gaming industry, it's very sometimes can be lonely, right? In that sense, especially if you
There's
work as
this
a
this
freelancer.
There's
Yeah.
also a
Yeah, no,
proper structure when it
oh,
comes to a traditional software engineering route or a development route, but
Yeah.
there's never a proper structure when you want to go into the gaming industry or pursue a career. And even if you talk to somebody, a lot of people are there to discourage you, and only very few to tell you to go for it, or it's very rewarding, or it's very fun. It's always it's a risky move, you're using it as
Yeah.
a career suicide, and I've heard a lot of these things, so that they can be
I can listen.
very demoralizing, and you're like,
career
am I
suicide is
doing the
very
right thing?
dramatic,
We're
right?
here
It's
to
like,
say,
oh no, yeah,
we're here to say
but
that
I
you
just
can do it.
yeah, I
Go-
just want to add to one thing that you're describing. That's like I think at the same time for me, like I think it's special that you can have all those backgrounds, and that there is no structure of what it means to join this industry, of what it means to have those career paths. So I completely understand like um the loss on what to do next, and if I'm good enough to start, to enter, to what
Mhm.
are those steps. But also at the same time, I think it makes like a very open to everyone industry, because like those skills are very transferable. And I come from an art background, so it's like I don't know which is worse, right? Do you want to be an artist or a game designer? so
Or a
so I
Oh,
think
writer.
my
that's a good
parents,
one.
yeah, they were all like, yeah, my daughter is lost or whatever.
oh,
so
especially for Portuguese parents.
yeah,
it
so I
it
think when
came to
you
a point where, yeah, so it
yeah,
came to
no,
a
go,
point where my mom was like, she does something with computers.
She does
So she was
something
like,
with
yeah, I'm
computers.
just going to say this.
Yeah,
Oh.
my parents don't know what I do either.
No, my mom has no
Everybody
idea.
would like.
She's just like, "Are you happy?" Yeah. Okay. Good.
yeah, but I would just say that
Good
that
way to go
again,
about
that
it.
but that's kind of special, right? Because it means that we are all from these different countries, and we can find a sense that we belong here, and that we
Yeah.
could find ways to connect to the industry as a whole. And I think a big part of this is to rethink what it means to belong to the game industry. And I think we have a lot
Yeah.
of roles here that connect to exactly that. Is like, yeah, if you work in comms or marketing, or if you do more community side, or like everything builds the industry. And I think that's a big shift that we started to see more down now, but it wasn't like this like a few years back, right? And I think that's one of the big
Yes.
challenges for and I know like it doesn't connect to gender straight away, but I think it does just because the type of roles that women that historically have belonged to. And it's like, and you like saying, oh, but these are not true game dev roles, or you're not truly in
Mhm.
the industry, or like on those like peripheral areas that kind of push like girls away from feeling like they're belonging there.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
this is
definitely.
especially true for esports, right? I mean,
Mm.
if you,
Oh God,
I
yes.
remember, like, right? I remember a few years ago, like when all of the esports things and tournaments were coming up, and I think one of the first that I actually participated was for Counter Strike, actually, like really back then. And I remember that I really tried so hard to sound like a dude because it was. But if they knew that you were a
Oh,
girl,
Mhm.
kind of the whole team didn't work anymore. Like everything just collapsed. And this is something that still is kind of there. But I
yeah.
mean, the whole
Oh
esports
yeah,
industry
I
as
don't
well,
use
right?
voice chat anymore.
Yeah. No,
I don't use voice chat. I just type everything. Like,
Wow, that's so
But like,
sad. We need to
and not
overcome this. Yeah, go ahead, Tarja.
and that we actually like that reminded me of something like some years back when I was like I was younger, obviously, some years back. So like I had this weird phase, like some like phase in my life when I thought that okay, like I'm woman, like I'm young woman, so somehow I'm not like I can't be as capable as young men. Like it was something like internalized misogynism,
Mhm.
or like something really weird. Like I don't know what I was like actually thinking, but like when you said that you tried to sound like a dude, Like I was going through that in my whole life somehow. Like I tried to be like one of the guys to be somehow like more accepted or something. And like I have never been like really girly, like despite of all this pink cardigan and stuff like that. But I somehow like tried to fit in like too much, and then
Yeah.
that didn't work out because that wasn't me. Like
Yeah.
that's not who I am.
Mm.
But then when I like finally accepted that, okay, like if this industry doesn't want me as I am, then it's like it's loss, and then I do
Yeah.
something else. But then it started to, I guess that gave me certain kind of confidence. Like, okay, this is what you get, take it or leave it, and you better take it because I'm really good at what I'm doing, and like that
Yeah.
kind of attitude. And it
Yes.
helped me
Confidence.
to like go further and have actual career in games. And like
Wow.
Vasia, I was on disability pension. I always tell this. I was on disability pension for like I guess around 14 years. I'm chronically ill and I'm disabled, and I thought that I would never work at least full time, like never ever again. But I do remote work from home, and I build my business from home, like from this bed I'm sitting on at the moment.
It's
So
so cool.
I would say that a lot of things are possible if you just like
Yeah.
go and try. And if you fail, it's completely okay. Then you just get up and try something else or try the same thing again.
Yeah.
But
That's so
that's
true. I
like
feel
the
like
being woman definitely brought its own spice to it. And wearing a
wow.
hijab was one of the things
Yes.
that like I wasn't taking
Yeah.
really seriously at some point. And I still get a lot of fan mail from
Wow.
Fan
certain
mail. That was,
yeah,
oof,
I still
that
get
was a
fan
way to
mail.
put it.
I've been noticed, let's say like that. Yeah.
Last
So
time I
it's
got fan
almost
mail, I
daily.
moved. So what
Yeah.
kind of fan mail do you
Yeah,
get?
I'm guessing we're talking about the same kind of fan mail. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not so flattering fan mail.
Yeah,
Like,
it's something that we have to talk a lot about equality, and I love that
yeah.
here we have like we are in a place where there's people from different backgrounds and even disabilities too. Like I think that in games, it's a place where we can hear our voices in the if you have disability, if you are from a different country, if you're from different colors, it can be a place where we can unite people. And I want to hear like some if your girls like ever had that experience, how if you have a story to share in terms of like your background, who you are, if your color was something that defined working with someone, if you feel like you don't have as much opportunities because I live in Canada, I'm a Latina. Sometimes I feel like me as a woman, a Latina, I have to work extra hard to be able to be seen, to be able to be taking it seriously. So I want to hear your stories if you have something to share in that sense of equality.
I'm actually reverse in the same kind of sense where, and that's interesting for me. I was kind of the reverse when I grew up in the sense that I already belonged. I was already one of the guys, to
Uh-huh.
what you said, Tarja, because I have an older brother. My two best friends, they were male. One of them, they are male. One of them, my best friend in elementary school, was actually a boy. His father was from Nigeria. He was a black boy. So I had this diverse background, and it was considered really cool that I was into video games because no other girls would even dare say that they were into games or want to study in the sort of technological sort of path in the high school. So I just want to say that even for those who do have that urge or discover it at some point, you can break free from it because it feels good. But then as I started growing older, I realized that, okay, these men, these boys, these people I knew, they were great. But hey, what about that thing that happened then or that thing that was said to me then? And even if those were great, a lot of others weren't. So it takes a lot to break free from that sort of shell where you feel safe and accepted. But I think it's something that we owe to ourselves and other women to do because it's a false sense of security. Because even if you are lucky enough to be with surrounded by really good people, you have to think about the fact that others are not. So we have to keep going and keep trying to make the industry better and our
Yeah.
world better for everyone, even
Yeah.
though, for us, it may be, we may feel at some point that we may be safe.
And I
Yeah.
was add one, just sorry, but I wanna add one short thing. Like my
Mhm.
father was always like he has always been super supportive. Like you go girl, you do whatever you want to do. You can do
Oh,
anything. Like I have older
Aw.
sister, and he's always been like that for both of us.
so
Um,
sweet.
and we live like I still live here in northern Finland, in middle of nowhere, basically. So and I joined the games industry like in on rather older age, so to say. So I was super surprised that okay, not all men are thinking like this. Like for
Yeah.
me, all that like ill talk and that kind of like okay, you again do game stuff. You like what do you even understand? Go back to kitchen and this all this traditional nice stuff. Um, it was sort of surprise to me,
Yeah.
and it took time to like understand that okay, this really is an issue. It
Yeah.
sounds probably crazy, but I didn't like grow up with internet and all that. I was like 25 maybe when I started to use social media, and so it all like took me by surprise.
Yeah.
Like what is this? Like I'm just a person. Like what the hell? Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Like what on earth it has to do like what I have in my pants?
Yeah. I'm interested to
I think
hear Shoei's story. Sorry, sorry about
yeah,
that. I'm interested to hear
no,
Shoei's
no, no.
story of, being the founder of, you're from Nigeria, and I haven't heard much about games in Nigeria. So I want to hear your experience. If you ever had a chance to, do a panel like this and share your stories, this is the time. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So it's actually Zambia, not
Ah,
Nigeria.
oh, I'm sorry,
Correct.
Zambia. I'm sorry, Zambia.
Um, so, so yeah, like for me, it's been pretty hectic.
Yeah,
First of all, when you start from the fact that I'm a pioneer in my country, it's been really
yeah,
hard to like find role models around the continent who look like me or who are
yeah,
female, who I could look up to. So I've been forced to really like learn vicariously through the experiences of other women in other parts of the world. So
yeah,
constantly not stalking, but just like really having my head down to the ground and understanding what's going on in different regions and trying to learn from other people's experiences. So watching a lot of panels,
yeah,
a lot of panels that happen in the UK, in the US. Like I think there's Esports Insider. I really became like an avid follower of Esports Insider, watching all their London get-togethers and just hearing about what's happening on the ground. um I would say like I okay, because I come from a country in Africa where it's predominantly black. I don't really have issues that I've experienced when it comes to race or race or sorts. But there have been situations that have come up where like someone would tell me, okay, for you to get a deal or for you to get your foot into the table of this room, you have to have a white co-founder or someone who's not necessarily from your country, and not young as you are, but older than you are, to speak in the room with you for you, and then people will take you seriously. So people, in short, it kind of made me feel like my voice as a black young entrepreneur in esports wasn't worth being heard in a room, that I had to
yeah.
have someone to shield me so that I could get into the room, then speak, but not be as loud as the person who's with me in the room,
Oh
for
my
whatever
God.
I have, for whatever value I have to be put across. So it's been a challenge. There's that on the business side. And then on the gaming side, you've got a lot of male predominant people who don't really like the fact that you're a pioneer. You're a pioneer in what you're doing. So I've
Yeah,
had people try to like mock certain things I'm doing. And like there's this other time we're doing a tournament, and a close friend sent a screenshot to my co-founder about someone telling people not to pay to participate in a tournament we were doing. and that was like the night before the tournament was supposed to happen, and these people were going around telling everyone in the community not to play. So it's those kinds of things that you kind of have to struggle with as a woman. But even though there's that, I've still kind of persevered through that. And yeah, and life goes on. I mean, it's a challenge, but at the end of the day, it's a challenge that I'm learning to overcome, both in
Yeah,
the business side and the gaming side as well.
yeah. And I'm interested to hear some of you girls are ambassadors for the women in game. And that's something that I see as a solution, right? Like, really finding role models and really kind of like finding your, like, who you look to, who your environment, who you surround yourself with, right? So I'm interested to hear, like, what is something that you have done to overcome, like, these challenges of equality and uh, just like, wanting to pursue a career in the industry.
Yeah, I would love to add something for everyone else that will go after. That is definitely there's an element of what Joey just talk about, like the finding other people next to you in your region, right? That know what you're going through. For example, that is something that is in the mission for women in games, that trying to find those regional people, those ambassadors that are like the lighthouses of their place of
Yeah,
being. Because one thing that it's very important to me personally, and I relate to the mission of the org as a whole, is that we have all of these culturally very different experiences. And for example, one thing that breaks my heart every time is like things like, for example, the other day someone in a meeting for owning games, someone that wanted to know more was asking um if we had like subgroups of like the intersectionality, for example, of women, right? Like a black woman in games, or like a Latino woman in games. And my answer on that moment, for example, is just like, if we're trying to talk to all women from all around the world, that is a very uh, Anglo-Saxonic way to look at the world.
yeah,
Very, because it's like, I have this ambassador she's from Nigeria, and she's like putting together like a group. Like, she doesn't see herself as like a black woman in games at all. She just exists there, and that's her culture and her place. I would
yeah,
never put her in that category. Like, I'm from Portugal. I'm not like, it makes it so. I don't have the same culture of someone that is in Finland and
Mm.
Sweden, and you're from Greece, and you know that, like, it's so weird whenever you think like, oh, Europeans as a we don't have a common culture at all. It's so different for us, for example. And so I think that element of understanding our, again, I'm talking in terms of like culture and nationality, but because that means the people around us and our field of influence, right? What are our needs? And what are our unique challenges? Because I was talking about something that relates to that leadership element of this, which is something that I think you just talked about, Tarja, about your father supporting you, right? For example. And so for me, like, my parents, they always support me, but there's like this culture in Portugal, and overall, that there's like this element of like woman leadership that's still very frowned upon in um
yeah.
like older generations. And so, for example, I remember when I was a kid, I wanted to be president of the republic, and I started to get signatures and things like that, because I really love like political commentary. My dad was like, I support you whatever you're doing, but I would never vote for a woman president. Like, I would, like, you can keep, like, you have the ability to keep doing this, but I would just like, I think like women,
Oh,
they're not like leadership material, or like things like that. And so, like, and now I run companies, like I'm the student director of things, and I keep funding things, and you're like, well, yeah, like, I keep supporting you, and like, you can do all those things, but like, they kind of, they
It's the culture,
crush
yeah.
with my beliefs, with my core beliefs. And so I would say, like, a part, and I think that that's all relates back to what it means to be ambassadors, which is like to be those lights that exist of like these values of community, of equality and all of that in those different regions, so we can share whatever is our own specific issues that belongs to that culture, and so people can then have those collaborations and see like how can I help you, like what were the specific things that you are struggling with. And again, and sometimes can be, again, your male peers are just not going to show up on your events. Okay, how can I get girls there, or it can be something like it's all about financing, because the way that people see women in leadership, maybe they won't care about you. Okay, then how can I help you overcome that? So I think it's a lot of that that goes into those ambassadorship. It's from the personal to the global. It, if you challenge those personal beliefs and those people around you, then you're influence the entire world around you.
That's amazing.
And I'd
And you
like to add up on
show.
that. Oh,
Oh,
Go ahead.
everyone is
sorry.
talking.
I'd like to add on that. I mean, the whole issue about wherever you are in the industry, because before that, I was actually in sales. I was in media and sales and IT, especially with complex products, was something where I was usually the only woman in the room, right? There was no one. If you've been in the IT, like let's say
I
20 years
know.
ago, right? Right, So it's not it's something that you find across many industries where you have a male dominated like environment, right? So it's not exclusively only to gaming or the gaming industry. But I mean, the only thing that actually helps is kind of if we basically are there, if we kind of show up and if we kind of just stand there and do whatever we have to do. And about founding and so on. I mean, also this is not exclusively to gaming. It's pretty much something that happens about being a woman founder, right?
Yeah.
Over what do we say, like underfunded, overcoached or something, right? It's pretty hard. You always, one of the first advice you get is like get a male co-founder. Well, it's actually my partner, so he was there. We had the idea together. So, but
That is so sad that you have to have a male co-founder to take it
it's,
seriously.
Adding
it's something
adding
that
to
happens,
that,
right?
Adding
Yeah.
to
So
that, there are banks in Pakistan that won't allow you to open business account unless and until you have a male partner with you to sign those
are
documents.
you
So,
kidding
I mean,
me?
it's an official thing. You go
What?
to a bank and they'll be like, "Don't you have a brother or your father? Bring
Mm.
him along."
Oh,
I love to
that's
get these kind of insights, right? Because we usually, I'm from Munich, Germany, actually. So you always have this kind of LinkedIn bubble view of things. Why I pretty much know there. This is all much broader, and there's so many more voices to be heard. There's actually so many more views to be seen than just the person that posts stuff that are maybe not the reality for everyone. So
wow.
this
Well,
is a good insight.
yeah, since this Woman History Month, I wanted to ask you if you have like a woman that you look up to, if you have a role model with like lots. It can be anyone. It can be your mom. It can be your grandma. Like I just want to hear, well, if you have any woman that you look up to in the industry or in general.
For me, it would be my mom.
Ah,
She has supported me relentlessly. So in my family, in generally in our culture, men are preferred over women. So daughters are not that important, but if you have a son, that's like the best thing. But both my parents went out of their way to give me more important than my brothers. And for the longest time, I did not even know that there was this difference that exists in the country that I'm living in. And I grew up a little and I realized, okay, so there's a difference between sons and daughters. And I was so shocked to find out that sons are treated better than daughters. I was like, no, that's not true. So and my mom has always supported me. So when I wanted to do software engineering, a lot of people in my family were like, this is not the field for girls. You should, make her, tell her to go into the medical field, become a doctor. What is she going to do? She should just become a teacher. And my mom was like, no, she's going to do this. And she supported me through everything. She was like, I don't understand this fully, but you have my support. And I mean, where I am right now, I would not have been here if she wasn't there to support me. So I feel like the things that she wasn't able to achieve, she made sure that I went there where she couldn't go. And I sometimes I feel like she lives those experiences through me, and it's just
That's amazing. Yeah, something that we have to think about. They're our heroes.
Mm,
They
yes,
just-
yes.
yeah.
Anyone else want
I
to say?
can I can
I
add
want.
to
Oh,
that.
sorry.
Okay, you go ahead. You go ahead.
Yeah, because
Mm,
my answer is very quick because I like for me it's like I love to see those like over 60-year-old women in the industry. I just like I remember so clearly once I went to this women in tech event and during COVID like there was like this woman that I remember I forgot the name but like she was like CEO of something and she was giving a talk about menopause and she was just rocking a full like pink a leather jacket and she was all the rage, you know, and she was like talking out to be in like, you know, board meetings with hot flashes and handling that and how to go through those
Oh,
motions and how to deal with just like your internal self that you couldn't you know and I was like I want to be like that when I grow up and especially for example in women in games also like seeing like being in a room with like Marie Claire and Sharon and all of that, and like how they're like so committed and and it is on profit. So there's like most of the people are either volunteers or they are freelancers that also volunteer whenever there's like emergencies and things like that. And so they're like so like just like giving back. It's people that could be like someone grandmother, and they are figuring out all the internet, all the like the platforms, everything, just like to make sure that all this message gets to everyone. And so yeah, for me, it's like every older woman that I see in the industry and around my life, they're just an inspiration.
yeah. I wanted
Oh,
to add also, obviously,
okay, I'll go
what you
after
said.
you.
Oh, hold on. Was someone talking?
Yeah,
go
I'll
ahead.
go after you. I'll go after
Yeah.
you.
Okay. I wanted to add actually that role models are so important, and they can be role models from the industry. Obviously, those are very important because you get to see yourself in their shoes in the future. But that's why it's also very important for the environment that young girls have when they grow up, for it to be supportive. In my case, I had a very bad person as a father. My mother was a single mom, and my brother was 10 years old when I was conceived, and they actually decided with my brother to keep me. So I exist because of my mother and brother. I am here today, and they both just supported me. I was never My brother was never the older brother that would make me play with dolls and not let me play with. He would let me play with his planes. We would play war games, Stratego, Cluedo, everything that was his was mine. So he encouraged me to just be what I wanted to be. I was never just his little sister. I was his little sibling. And I think that a lot of girls grow up, like you said, in societies or in a family environment or in a school environment that just tries to clip their wings at every conceivable moment. So for women to be in the industry that we can actually look up to and see that okay, they went there, and for people around us to encourage us regardless of their gender, I think it's so important. That's why it's important that in every aspect of life we need to have those role models, and they need to continue from you can play with my toys to look at me. I'm a 60-year-old woman talking about menopause in a rockin' pink jacket. So I think it's very important to show little girls that they can continue on for as long as they want to, and they can reach whatever their dreams are in whatever age it may be. There's no expiration date to getting your career or being important in your career or feeling like you love your career. So for me, everyone, like you said, who supports you throughout your life in the different stages of your life and all the way to the top, showing you that hey, I am here and you can make it here too. I think everyone is just so very important.
Definitely, I love to also hear the experience of the moms, the mothers here, because
Yes.
like you said, our mom sometimes is our biggest inspiration. So I remember Tarja was saying that she played video games with her son, and I remember just saw your little kid too. So yeah, I wanted to hear from you too about your role models.
Like all the mothers in the room, or what?
mothers,
All the
mothers
mothers
be
stand
like,
up, please stand up. No.
Anyone,
I mean,
anyone,
like,
yeah, like that. Yeah.
I mean, the only thing changes. I mean, for me, definitely that once you become a mom, you're more kind of you realize how important it is to basically be the person that someone else sees, right? So I've been working somewhere in between as a mentor for career changers. Some of them actually wanted to go into the game industry, and they never, ever, ever heard anyone saying, do it, like go there, try it. So it's and just being there, being in the game industry, being a person that kind of does the stuff is something that actually helps others. And I think that something that is maybe a weakness of females, I say, probably, correct me if I'm wrong, but some of us just don't really like to be in the spotlight, right? Like posting stuff, going somewhere, being the speaker, going to, I don't know, just being there and produce this kind of personality thing or branding, whatever we could do. But it's so helpful. Like I actually I got messages from some of the students that I helped that they it's helpful for them to see that whatever we do, for example, can be done. And this is something that needs to be in the industry, because whatever we do, someone else feels inspired to do as well. And this is just the thing. We don't have to be that kind of role model, or I think maybe we're not good enough as a role model. Whatever we do, we all F up all the time. I do. Right? But it's important that we do it and that we kind of share it too, even if it feels super uncomfortable, because it's very inspiring for someone else. We don't know who we can influence over time.
And for me, as mom, it's kind of like seeing how my kids are 22 and 16, so they aren't really like small kids anymore. But like for me, seeing them like already our 16 years old daughter is already feeling the pressure. Like I should think like school is pressuring me. She's in high school now. Like school is pressuring me to decide what I want to do when I grow up, and I should already choose my career. And I feel that's horrible. Like she's 16. Like let her live. I didn't know until I was 30. Oh my goodness. 30 something, maybe 36. I didn't know like what I actually want to do when I grow up. I still haven't grown up, I guess. I don't know. Like I was carpenter, like I was cabinet maker. I fixed old furniture. I was teaching how to do that. I was working with drug addicts, recovering drug addicts, and then I was on disability pension. Um, I had a lot of struggles in my life with physical and mental health, and like most important thing I want to kind of show to my kids is that like take your time. Like everyone blooms in their own pace. Like it doesn't matter if you are 25 and don't know what you want to do. Just try things out and live, and it will like life will sort itself out. Like if you are just a good person, if you just try to somehow live without harming anyone and just go on with your life, it will like those things will clear up, just like
Yeah.
somehow on their own
I
terms.
remember I remember being 16 and I'm like, I don't know what I want to do with my life. And it's so much pressure. I feel so bad for all the teenagers nowadays. And the advice that
Yeah,
I give them is exactly what you said. Nobody really knows what they're doing.
yeah,
You're just trying
and you
to
don't
do your
have
best.
to. I don't know what I'm doing most of the time. And
Try to
I'm
tell
working
this to
full
your
time
kids,
and running
right?
a business. Yeah, they
I
know.
remember I went
They
to I remember I went to this event in this volunteer, she came up to me and she was like, "Okay, I was following your work. You inspire me a lot. It feels like you have your whole life figured out." And I was just looking at her and I just wanted to tell her that I'm just winging it. I have nothing figured out. There's a fire behind my back, and I don't know how to, what to do with that. So, adding to what was said before, I feel like there will be women who are going to be in their 50s and 60s talking about menopause, rocking leather jackets and pink jackets, because we're already getting there. And there are a lot of people who reach out to me and they're trying to, ask that they want to get into the gaming industry, but this is like, how should they do it, what should they learn? And and a lot of those are girls, so they're like, okay, I'm not a good developer, but I'm very good at UI UX, so what can I do in the gaming industry because I really want to. So I feel like that a lot of people are now getting the prerequisite or the knowledge that they needed to pursue a career, and they're also finding that support because they're seeing so many great people out there and they're like, okay, this is what I want to be. Or and because of the internet, it's become so approachable for people to reach out to you to ask for advice, which I felt like wasn't there before. So now I mean, apart from all the hardships that a lot of people have to face, especially people on this panel had to face to get to the point where they are and still are facing, I believe that it's also getting easier for people who are, following the footsteps. So while it's difficult, it's also fruitful in a way that might be not very recognizable right now, but it is if you look at the bigger picture.
Yes, and it's also very important when you think about the socioeconomic differences. Like obviously, what Daria said, you don't have to decide at 16 what you want to do, but a lot of people they can't afford to sort of wait for too long. I was actually thinking before I got this job that I have now. I was thinking that this would be my last effort. I'm 37 now, to try and be in any way in the games industry. I thought maybe I'll just work in supermarkets as a cashier for the rest of my life. That's fine. It's a job. I will have money. It's a life of dignity as well. But for those who are in the situation where they really don't feel like they have time, knowing that they have the resources to try and get there as fast as they can, or that they can do something else and get back to it later when they have a job, when they are more stable socioeconomically. It's so important to show them that the dream doesn't have to be lost, it doesn't have to be rushed. So, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is
Thank
And
you
probably
so
I
more
much.
just sorry.
straightforward. Oh, sorry.
Oh, go ahead. Go
No,
ahead.
I really
And
just want to add something here that I think connects also to what Shoei is doing, because it's and what you do as well, Vazia, which is like you don't. Some of like these projects probably started as like community projects, for example, right? Like first, and then they grew into business. So it's like you just need to also think that there's things that are okay not to be your full-time job. Like you're not failing, you're not a part of the game industry if you're not just surviving on this one job. Like um even when I first started the studio, like I was still not I joined first as a mentor, so I was as a mentee, so I was doing other things and having like other jobs. And even moving forward, sometimes the game industry is very volatile, so sometimes you need to build those extra income sources and those extra jobs just to make sure like you always have something planned to fall back on and things like that. It's part of the nature of being in a creative industry. So yeah, yeah, just your worth or your belongingness to this. It's not just if it's your sole means of income.
And that is especially not straightforward, right? I mean, things, but I touched basically based in the esports industry, like doing things there, right? Then I did some streaming, whatever. And I know people that were going in and out, especially through community projects and so on, that things are not just going, oh, I go into the gaming industry and then I succeed. It's not happening like this magically, right? You kind of have to go there, make some friends, build some connections. It's a long process, probably, maybe if it's not, that it's cool too. But just understand that it can be like this and it's good and you're not a failure or anything, right? Just go, just do it.
Wow. Thank you
I
so
feel
much
like
for
a lot of this, but there when you're putting yourself and taking the risk, a big part of that risk is the imposter syndrome that you have to deal with, because you yourself have become your enemy. That, am I good enough to do it? Will I be able to do it, or will I not be able to do it? And constantly, every single day, you're feeling this, especially when you hit a rock on the way, or a bump on the way. So I feel like having a community where you can discuss something that you're feeling, that someone else might be feeling as well, and it can help you, goes a long way. But
yeah.
you don't have to gaslight yourself into thinking that maybe what you're feeling is not valid, or maybe
Your
you're
audio
not
is
meant for this.
breaking up.
You just need to be clear
Yeah.
with yourself, I think.
Yeah. So the last part, if you can repeat, because we didn't
Broke up a
hear.
bit.
I was saying that
So
just because it's not working out, that means you need to give yourself a little bit more time rather than giving up and that maybe it's not meant to be.
yeah. So I just want all the women and the girls
Oh,
watching
that's
the stream to know that we are here for you. And if you feel free to reach out to every one of us. I don't know, I cannot speak for every one of us, but I'm saying especially for me. And I think that you don't need to just be a designer. You don't need to just be a software engineering. You can do so much things in the gaming industry. I work in marketing, so it's like it's not just one pathway. And I have like another final question for you before we end, in which I like to end my streams like that. If you were to describe your pathway in the gaming and tech industry in 3 words, what would be the words that you would use to describe? You can think about it. You don't have to say it right away, but whoever has the first answer can go first.
For me, it's a quote. It's not words though.
Uh-huh.
For me, it's fail fast and fail forward. Fail fast, fail forward, and stay consistent. That's just how I go.
That's good. That's a good one.
I only have
I
one
guess.
word. It's a roller coaster.
Hmm.
Roller.
Okay, I just want to say
And
kindness.
I don't really like rides, so
Yeah.
Same.
Tarja said kind. That's amazing. You have any other 2 words, Tarja?
Well, it all comes to kindness. So
Yeah.
maybe like dedication. Don't give up.
I,
That's like, don't give up. Okay, that's 3 words, right? Don't give
I
up.
guess
Yeah.
exactly. Don't give up. Exactly. For me, the path so far, I guess, would be despair, healing, reclaiming. And it can be a
despair.
circle. You can be despair, despair, healing, reclaiming. Even if
Um,
meet a bump on the road, you just try to heal yourself, give yourself the space and the time you need, and understand and believe in your own worth, and then you reclaim what you know should be yours and what you know you're capable of. And it can just
love
go
that.
in a circle, like Warda said, it can be a roller coaster, but uh, you always get to the reclaiming part if you just keep
Yeah.
at it.
Okay, I'm thinking like I would say like for me would be um encouragement because I always had people believing more in myself than I did.
Oh,
Challenges for sure and passion because like if you cannot keep that love, it's impossible to stay in this industry.
Oh, yeah, passion definitely, and empathy for me, like understanding trying to at least understand all of the sides, why things are a certain way helps me like every day actually. So empathy and passion definitely, yes.
yeah. That's amazing. Did everybody go or someone left? Oh, all right.
Oh, there we go. She's back.
Everybody was able to come. Thank you girls so much for joining this panel. I know you have to go, so it was an honor for you girls to take your time and volunteer, and hopefully this can inspire more girls and women out there to feel like their voice are heard. And I want to do this more often, so let's create spaces where
Yes.
we can be heard, right? Let's create
Yeah.
spaces where our voice can be heard.
Absolutely.
So
Love this, would
excited to
love to
have you
support this.
Yeah,
forward.
it
All
was
right.
Thank you
lovely.
for
Thank you for
inviting.
having us.
You
Thanks
guys.
Thank
Bye.
you
everyone.
Thank
so
you for
Have a
having
much.
good
thank
us.
one,
you guys.
ladies. Connect everywhere. My
Yes,
CM
please,
is coming
connect
out.
to me.
Connect
Keep in
everywhere.
touch.
We'll
Keep in
put the
Share
touch.
on all
link.
socials.
I need you in my
Follow and
life.
subscribe.
So
Please like and
fun.
subscribe here.
Oh my God.